He stumbled upon a side of Sarah that he shouldn't have seen. A confused Ichimura begins sweating bullets, his mind in disbelief, seeing Sarah singing and dancing to idol songs. "Why are you here?" she asks in a panic, red-faced and embarrassed. He explains that he followed her when she was sneaking around earlier. But didn't he go home? Well, he forgot his gym uniform. And what happened to the censor? He avoided it. Avoided it? She asks in disbelief. "So you saw everything?" she asks with her fist clenched in anger. "I'll kill you." A worried Ichimura approaches her, concerned. "What is with you?" she asks, about to burst like a volcano. That time, and that time. Why couldn't she feel his presence? He responds apologetically, explaining that he learned how to erase his presence to not get caught up in crimes. He tells her that Komori told him that she was thinking of changing careers, and that's why he thought she was practicing playing the guitar to become a guitarist. Unless she wanted to change to an idol instead? She squirms, begging him to not say it out loud at this moment. For the first time in Tomito's life, a seedling of mischief sprouted within his heart. "You have a very cute voice. Your smile is very beautiful when you're in high spirits. Especially when you were like sparkling, shining, shooting star." Sarah lays defeated on the floor, seeking the sweet mercy of death while Ichimura delights in this newfound feeling of accomplishment. Ichimura continues, finding it amazing that she's changing from a hitman to an idol. She tells him that she really hates her job. Her household is a family of assassins. She was brought up as a hitman ever since she was able to speak, trained to kill, starting from the tiniest creature to man, the apex predator. Gifted weapons on Christmas when she asked Santa for dolls, hardening her from her mind to her gut, training her to be the perfect assassin. Little Sarah didn't want to be an assassin, but she didn't have a choice. Then one day, her happy-go-lucky childhood friend invited her to an idol concert. Idols.
Okay.
They're dazzling, cute, they look like they were having fun. So there were jobs like this too. How nice. She wants to be an idol too. That was the reason why she started doing this. How was it? How was her training? Did she look ridiculous? It doesn't suit her, right? He thinks about it for a while, and then confesses that he thought it was really good, surprising her. She's left red-faced and sweating, not believing the nonsense he's spouting. But he insists. She really surprised him. He couldn't look away. She yells at him, telling the boy to stop fooling her with his words of flattery. But he denies that it's flattery, he's speaking the truth. He really does want to see her perform one more time. The red-faced girl begins to erupt. Who would do something so embarrassing again? An agitated Sarah interrogates him, asking him what he intends to accomplish with his flattery. She finally realizes. He's been mocking her this entire time, hasn't he? Ichimura shakes his head, confessing that he was joking a little bit, but he really did think, "I knew it." Unforgivable. Her singing and dancing must have been very funny. She understands it well. Things like idols are completely unsuited for her. With her knife to the sky, she insists that he laughs. Laugh because he wants to. Laugh and let that laughing face be engraved into his death mask. He confesses, hand to her blade, that he really thought that she was very cute during her performance. Interrupting the sudden silence, he asks her what was wrong, and she responds that it was nothing, taking a step back defensively. She turns around and begins walking away, telling him that she's going to head home, and if he values his life, he better keep his mouth shut. He falls down back to the ground, saved again. She walks home, her mind wandering. Ichimura Tomido. He knows nothing about her, be it her job as a hitman or an idol, and yet, he said she was cute? She'll definitely kill him. At that time, Hinako's life stalker life force has replenished. A new day starts as Ichimura heads off to school, noting that the mornings are starting to get warmer. As he nears the school gates, he spots two familiar faces. He overhears the Hiura sisters arguing, blaming each other for their tardiness. As they spot his familiar face, though, they change into much more presentable attitudes, greeting him good morning. Aki, noting that despite the warm morning, she's feeling quite cold. He greets them back, but is confused. Is it cold? Suddenly, an exhausted Minori takes him to the side and begins to explain that her sister has a huge problem. They continue their fight, Aki complaining about her various dangerous shenanigans and calling her reckless. Minori retorts back, saying that her sister's head is a brick. She's just so close-minded about other people's ideas. Ichimura rushes in to mediate, pleading to them to please calm down. With a menacing smile, she tells him to shut his mouth, or else he'll end up like an egg in a microwave. They start their back and forth again, Aki scolding her for using her bombs and Minori replying with an unserious show of taking responsibility. Seriously, she's so embarrassed to be sisters with someone like her. A furious Minori agrees, declaring that from now on they're cutting off all ties. What's with her? A furious Akya yells. What was she 6 years old? Ichimura notices her shivering. Is it cold? He asks concerned. No, that's not it. She begins to explain that when she accumulates a lot of stress, she starts to feel cold. She continues, saying that dealing with Minori is making her feel cold, and being in the type of class they're in is making her feel even colder. She changes the subject, asking him if he's settling down in class. It's all right, he says, stuttering and hesitant. Not that great then. She tells him not to stress about it. She too is trying to suppress her desire for arson. And as the class rep, she wants to make everyone in the class reform into outstanding students, especially Minori. As her sister, she has to take care of the mess she caused. Ichimura notes that despite Minori being so scary, Akie is surprisingly gentle. With her fist pumped, Akie encourages him to do his best today too. Let's aim towards a class with no more crime. With a gun to his mouth, she asks him if he blabbed about what happened yesterday. Is that so? She straightens her back and starts talking. If what he said yesterday was true, then would he? Their conversation is interrupted by the headstrong Akie, scolding Sarah for having and taking out her pistol in public. Sarah walks away, leaving before she finished what she had to say to Ichimura. Immediately, Aki starts telling Momoka to stop. Stripping yourself and others is not allowed. She scolds Sasakawa for playing games in his laptop in school. Then she turns to Hinako that's rummaging through the bin for Ichimura's garbage. Then to Guda, telling him to stop it with that face. A concerned Ichimura once again asks if she's okay. She dismisses his worries, telling him that this is the norm. A familiar voice chuckles smugly, asking her what she thought of her remote-controlled bomb. Was she scared? She's scared, right? Yasuo looks on cautiously, feeling danger in the air. Minori continues, boasting about her new bomb that... so warm. The concerned Tomido calls out her name, but it's no use, she's completely in fire mode. Fire mode? He asks. Yasuo begins to explain, saying that the pair of siblings have a switch that goes from fire mode to extinguished mode, the former being their criminal mode, and the latter being their suppressive mode. Minori's default is fire mode, while Aki's default is extinguished mode. Seems like the accumulated stress flipped her switch. The concerned Tomido asks what they could do to help, and Yasuo replies that getting her wet will flip her back to extinguished mode. From across the room, Minori begins patting her burning skirt, panicking since the fire will light the explosives in her skirt. Immediately, Tomido fills up a bucket and quickly splashes her before the explosives go off. Tomito realizes that splashing a bucket of water on her might not have been such a good idea, as he imagines the dreadful retaliation of the explosive loving sister. He steps back, horrified. Yasuo begins to explain that Minori has been flipped to extinguished mode. She became super shy now. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Yasuo immediately swoops in, but the guarded Minori stops his plans from ever blooming. Tomito suddenly realizes that Akie has left the classroom while they were preoccupied. Cold. Still too cold. It needs to be even warmer. Tomito returns to the classroom, reporting that things have become quite serious. What should they do? Yasuo replies that they gotta evacuate. Everyone is already at the shoe lockers. But Tomito is still concerned about Akie. What is going to happen to her? Minori explains that when her sister is in her fire mode, she'll continue to seek more heat, eventually desiring to burn herself too to truly feel the fire's warmth. Bravely, Tomito rushes to stop her while the extinguished Minori follows. Yasuo proclaims that he's counting on them, deciding to evacuate with the hiding Kojiru. Realizing the extent of the fires, Ichimura decides that it may be too dangerous, pleading for Minori to also evacuate, but the coughing Minori insists. Declaring that she's the younger sister after all, she has to take care of her big sister. But what is she planning to do? Confidently, she takes something out of her pocket. Even as the school burns, Akie is still left shivering. Why is it still cold? She declares that everything needs to be even warmer. The pair rush to the rooftop, pleading for her to stop or else she might also end up burning. Seeing Ichimura holding the fire extinguisher lights up a fire in her, wondering if he intends to use it to extinguish her warm flames. She begins to explain that the world really is very, very cold indeed. Cold because of men who sneeze without covering their mouth. She says, spraying another corner of the rooftop with flames. Luckily, he prepared a fire extinguishing ball to alleviate the raging flames a little bit. Cold because of women who read their messages but never reply. She spits scornfully, spraying a line of fire straight to Ichimura, causing Minori to call out his name in panic. Luckily, he came prepared, covering himself up with a fire blanket. Cold because of couples acting lovey-dovey in the train. Get your asses back home. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, he calls out to Minori, telling her to use that. You see, that refers to a bomb, a fire extinguishing bomb, that'll hopefully create a blast that'll cover the whole rooftop. That's the plan B they discussed earlier. With the fire surrounding her extinguished, she too will be back to extinguished mode. That's right, bombs are her specialty. With her around, this will be a piece of cake. Wait, what's wrong? Shaking, she answers that she can't throw it. Suddenly, Ichimura remembers Yasu's explanation. In extinguished mode, their criminal desires are suppressed. That includes bomb throwing for Minori. He takes out his hand and pleads for her to pass it to him. But before she could, a blazing fiery blast shoots out to separate them. But above all else, Minori you! From the fiery stage, Akie stands slumped and frustrated. Complaining about her noisiness, she's always so selfish, she doesn't listen to others at all and saying that they're cutting off all ties. You've got to be kidding me. Do you really hate me that much? With a click, the bomb begins to tick as she confesses. What she said this morning was all a lie. She's sorry that she had never said this before, but I really love you. With the fire's flames surrounding her, Minori dried up and changed back to her usual fire mode. Minori looks at the bomb, confused. No beeps, no kaboom. It was defective. Ichimura stands above the unconscious twins with a smile, happy that they made up. Aki finally opens her eyes, waking up in the school's clinic. Suddenly, she realizes that she did it again. She committed another crime. Quickly, she asks if she hurt anyone, but they reply that no one was hurt. Everyone was already used to their shenanigans, although the first years were a bit freaked out. Also, Minori adds, Ichimura carried both of them out, which was pretty cool. Akie thanks him and also apologizes. He must have gotten burned. Minori apologizes too, but he dismisses their worry, saying it's fine. He sprayed his uniform with fire retardant spray. Aki breathes a sigh of relief, glad that everything is fine. You should be glad that everything is fine. A familiar voice replies. Principal? The principal begins to tell her all the hoops they went through. They worked with the fire defense agency to cover up what happened as a fire drill. For her crime, though, as the chief of the National Police Agency, she might have persuaded the Public Safety Commission to let her go, but there's a limit to how much they can cover up. They went overboard this time. She'll have to give them the appropriate guidance. Shaking the twins shrink, dreading to ask if it means what they think it means. A supplementary lesson. The troublemaking twins are carried out for their lesson while the principal follows closely behind. Suddenly, her assistant calls out to her. Whispering, she tells her about how Ukanmori will be returning back to Japan soon. The principal's knees buckle as she hears that name. That girl? In a cold sweat, she wonders why she's returning. Couldn't she just stay quiet until graduation? Was her spring break not enjoyable enough? The next day, Tomito looks at the repaired school, amazed. He greets her good morning, noting that the petals on her hair suits her quite well today. He then greets the Hiura twins a fine morning, happy that the pair are getting along well today. They coldly scold him for being so loud in the morning, glaring and dismissing him. He bumps into Momoka, compliment her boobs that look quite huge today. With a smile, she tells him to please disappear. Then he meets Sarah. A delighted Yasuo smiles, so happy to be surrounded by such cute girls as always. Ichimura enters the classroom, having seen the entire thing. Yasuo greets him, noting that he looks like he was groped like always today. Yasuo sits down, feeling bad for him. Must be terrible. How often does he get assaulted by criminals anyways? He answers that it happens from time to time, probably once or twice a day, although it became a daily occurrence after he entered this class. Suddenly, he realizes something. He just doesn't see Yasuo committing any crime that could have forced him to be in this class. Curious, he asks him, how did he become a criminal? Confidently, he confesses that he's a cracker. Explaining that there are good and bad hackers, he's a bad hacker, so he's a cracker. Intrigued, Ichimura asks what he does. Enthusiastically, he shows him. Explaining that he rewrote the code to the Prime Minister's homepage so it displays a picture of Ichimura's face on Torajiru's body wearing a swimsuit.
Oh, yeah.
He also hacks into other people's computers and phones and send them malware. He can also take a peek at their data too. A fascinated Yasuo beams with delight, finding a suspicious folder of his. He continues, explaining that he can collect people's personal information, break into servers all across the world, find people's addresses, phone numbers, medical histories, criminal records. Ichimura pleads for him to stop. He gets it. A confused Ichimura wonders, what's with his reaction? He explains that the National Police Agency should have information on their entire class. He wanted to look at his documents, but somehow only his is... What is this? Highly confidential information. Does he know anything about this? Ichimura answers with a no, shaking his head. To even lock it with a password. Now he really wants to take a peek. But it's the National Police Agency's confidential information, though, Ichimura says, sweating. He agrees. It's certainly dangerous. But the more they try to hide it, the more curious he gets. He understands, but what if they get caught? An angry Yasuo calls him an idiot, explaining that a man must always pursue the vast unknown. To turn a blind eye to a treasure right in front of him. He can't do it. With his hand to the air, he declares that he'll get it done. Sasakawa Yasuo's 3-minute hacking. Commence. So plain. What a letdown, Ichimura remarks, disappointed. An offended Yasuo asks what he thought he would do. Did he expect crackers to put on performances? Conceding. He raises his hands to the air and then hammer them down to the keys like a blacksmith, putting on a show reluctantly. He admits, the security of this vault is quite impressive. As the screen changes, Ichimura asks what's he doing now. He answers that he's attempting to calculate the password, although there are various ways to crack the code, this is his favorite. The brute force attack. The brute force attack? That sounds cool, he explains. A 4-digit password can be cracked by trying all the numbers between 0000 and 9999. One of them's got to be correct, right? Landing a hit by spraying a torrent of attacks. That's a brute force attack. He continues to explain that it could be 8 digits or 10 and so on. It may also contain letters and symbols. It might take years to crack. But with the CPU processing power of his self-made Yasuo PC, it'll be cracked in 3 minutes. What? What was the point then? What was the point of the bam bam bang thing he did earlier? To raise the tension. He admits that it was faster than he expected. He didn't have to do a spidering and dictionary attack, his plan B if the brute force attack failed. They were super lucky. Well then, let's take a look. Ichimura Tomito, son of Ichimura Shinichi and Ichimura Yukiko Sakai. Gonzo's great-grandson. The atavistic blood is confirmed to have been inherited. The appropriate measures will be established during the operation of Juvenile Delinquent Special Education Program. The pair begins talking, confused about what inherited blood means, but guessing that it probably relates to him being a natural-born victim. Well, maybe. And this Sakai person must be Tomito's great-grandfather. He must also have been a natural-born victim. Tomito's confused. This is the first time he has heard about that name. He suddenly recalls. On the first day, the principal said something about Sakai. Does the principal know something about him? He begins to wonder what the heck was going on. Even if he wanted to ask the principal, he can't let her know they hacked into classified files. He just has to trust Yasuo. This whole thing piqued his curiosity, so he promised that he'll investigate the matter thoroughly. Maybe he can also ask his dad about this. But what is appropriate measure? That sounds so scary. Once again, he finds himself face to face with Sarah. Humbly, she has a request to ask of him. A request? He holds his hands up in submission. What kind? She turns away shyly, whispering, "Can you help me with my practice?" He's taken aback. Practice? Oh, to become an idol, right? Don't say it out loud. He asks why she's asking for his help specifically. She answers that no one has seen her dancing and singing yet, and she wants a second opinion. But if it's like that, couldn't she ask Komori? She can't tell anyone else. Because he saw her practice and told her that it wasn't that bad, he is the only one she can count on. This is certainly the first time someone said that to him. Enthusiastically, he agrees, proclaiming that he'll come with her to practice. A thankful Sarah holds her tongue, unable to spit out a thank you. Next day, after school. A fidgeting Sarah nervously asks him if anyone had tailed him, and he answers with a no. He asks, unsure, if he's the right person. He knows nothing about dancing. She says that it's fine, she just wants to hear his opinions. All right, she's starting. As she is about to utter the first line, she notices Ichimura's wide eyes starting back at her. Don't look at me. She apologizes, surprised by her actions. She explains that she's still not used to singing and dancing in front of others, leading Ichimura to ask if she's embarrassed. She scolds him for being so blunt again, but he explains that being an idol means that she'll have to dance and sing in front of a lot of people. Didn't she know that? Indeed, she knows. Let's continue. Finishing her performance, she asks for his honest opinion. He tells her that both her dancing and her singing were so stiff, and her smile too. She stares at her reflection, telling him that she's not good at consciously putting on a smile, especially in front of others. Well, can she show him? But her resistance. That's why they're practicing right now. She finally understands. Bracing him, she tells Ichimura not to freak out. That was horrifying, he says, completely terrified. He remembers when she was dancing by herself, she was able to show a brilliant smile. They should work on that. Work on bringing that smile out when she's in front of others. Suddenly, he proclaims he has an idea. Instead of treating this as practice, she should think of herself as a real idol on stage. She'll be fine once she gets in the mood. A real idol? She understands. Everything from her expressions to her movements became even more graceful. He's amazed that such a small shift in thinking can create such a big transformation. Such a big transformation, seeing her shift from a stoic assassin to twinkling idol, is just way too funny. No! He absolutely cannot laugh. If she sees him laughing, it's lights out. He has to endure it. He absolutely has to hold it in. Alright, and the next song is Nyan Nyan Girls. She begins to twirl and strut, dancing as she sings such embarrassing lyrics. He grits his teeth to keep his mouth shut. She's in such high spirits, he can't laugh. He just can't. Pom-pom paw, paw-ponch, neko, paunch. He squeezes his sides, wishing that it'll just shatter already. Just a little bit more, hold it in somehow. He's at his limit, but he can't. Sarah is doing her best. She's having so much fun. If he laughs now, she'll go from idol back to hitman. He will. Prevent all crimes. Sarah finally snaps out of her trance as the song ends. With a red face, she asks him what he thought of her serious performance. With a thumbs up, he tells her that it was the best. It was like he was watching a real idol. Really? Is that so? She proposes, if it's possible, maybe he can watch her practice again another time, but she won't force him. With a gleaming smile, he accepts, if she's fine with him. I'm in your debt. Looks like we have quite a playful brat. She smiles, amused. He's pretty good at playing hide and seek. What a mischievous rascal. Pardon me. Her secretary enters the room, reporting that Ichimura has successfully become friends with his fellow classmates. Is that so? How wonderful. No, rather, how frightening. Hinako, at that time. If I shove meat into Ichimura-kun's socks, then it becomes an Ichimura-kun roll. Is busy thinking about a new Hinako stocking cooking recipe at the bakery club. A study group? Of course, Yasuo replies. Midterms are coming up. It seems like a good idea to go to someone's house to study. Ichimura beams with delight. A study group with classmates. How has he longed for this situation? He wonders if their mom would bring out desserts. Would everyone teach each other about the topics they don't understand? Maybe after diligently studying for a while, then somehow they'll end up playing games. Oh, what should he do? He has never played any two-player games before. Before Yasuo can continue, Ichimura immediately interrupts him with an enthusiastic yell of acceptance. He's definitely going. So whose place are they going to? Spotting a familiar figure approaching, he asks him if his place is okay today. At the sight of his colossal classmate, Ichimura can't help but scream his lungs out. He grabs him by the shirt and asks him what was he screaming for. Don't make me rip out your blood vessels and shove it down your windpipe to shut you up. Yasuo apologizes, explaining that Torajiru doesn't mean any harm. His face and personality just tends to scare people. He's a natural threat criminal. He continues, telling him that although he looks like that, he's actually a really good-natured guy, so they should get along, okay? Good-natured? After school, the group of guys head to Torahiru's place. Ichimura was still wary, but to be able to attend a study group is something he had always wished for, so he won't refuse the invitation. The flashy boy closes his phone, introducing himself to Ichimura as Kirya Reiji. It's nice to meet you. Oh, likewise, Ichimura responds nervously. They continue walking, Ichimura wondering if Yasuo didn't invite any girls to join them, but he responds that they all refused him. A bee. Torajiru. He tells him that yesterday night he took a stroll in the graveyard, warning him that he might be possessed by an evil spirit. Watching the pitiful sight, Ichimura begins to ask if Guda was, yep, he's an ultra-coward. Earthquakes, heights, etc. He's scared of almost everything, and also violence and pain as well, he adds. Whether it's beating others up or getting beaten up, he's terrified of it happening. This guy, Ichimura turns to him with a smile. Are you okay? Torajiru comes down from his tower, asking Ichimura who asked him for help. Does he want to make him feel indebted to him or something? A nervous Ichimura shakes his head. No, not at all. With a glare, he promises to return this debt tenfold someday. They finally reach Torajiro's house. The pair of tough-looking guys welcome them in, bowing their heads and showing respect. Shivering, Ichimura points out that Guda's house is. Yasuo replies that Torajiro's dad just happens to be this region's Yakuza boss. They go through the doors as Yasuo continues explaining, telling him that recently they ran into a little dispute with a rival group, so that's why they are all a bit tense right now. They finally reach Torajiru's room. With a finger pointed to them, he tells them that he'll bring out some tea and desserts, so they just sit and wait. Ichimura begins to imagine the son of a Yakuza boss's room. It'll have to be something like this, right? He's amazed. He didn't know Torajiru had this kind of hobby. Settling down, Yasuo places his laptop on the small table, ready to study. Remembering yesterday, Ichimura asks how that thing is going. Regrettably, Yasuo replies that it'll take some time. What about him? Did he ask his dad about his great-grandfather yet? He recounts that his father told him that his great-grandfather passed away before his dad was even born. That's why so far he has nothing. Well, there's no rush, I guess. Yasuo notes that Torajiru has been gone for a long time. Ichimura offers to check it out, but Yasuo dismisses his offer, noting that moving around this house is pretty dangerous. He notices that Yasuo seems to be quite familiar with this place. Yasuo agrees, saying that it's because him and Torajiru go way back. And also, he adds, Ichimura, you're scaring Torajiru. Yeah, he's a transfer student after all. But he thinks that if an opportunity arises, the two of them will definitely become good friends. An opportunity? He stands up, deciding to check up on him after all. As he looks around, he can't help but be amazed. He has never stepped foot in a Yakuza house before. Torajiru spots him, a cake and a tea set in his hands. Where does he think he's going? The toilet is the other way. He explains that he was taking a while, so he was preparing cake? He baked it? He replies that he baked it yesterday. He was just taking some time to decorate it. Ichimura lights up with excitement, amazed that he knows how to bake cakes. He barks at him, telling him that he doesn't need his rotten flattery. Does he want him to rip his intestines out or something? Don't move, don't make a sound. You're the boss's son, right? With a glare, he asks him what he thinks he was doing. He explains that he works for the Yura-san family, He's here to kidnap him to crush his family. If he doesn't want to die, then he better come with him quietly. Guda-kun. This is bad. If he was the target and the only target, he would be able to run away. But he's aiming for Guda-kun. What should he do? He calls out his name. He declares that he'll distract the guy, while he runs away to somewhere safe and gets some help. He charges suddenly, surprising the guy. He warns him, he'll shoot, hey! If he closes the distances with the riot shield, he'll be able to jab him with the stun gun. That's it, that's the plan. His shield and body bounces off to the ground. The guy was wearing rubber-soled shoes. Frantically, Torajiru begins calling for help but stops as he notices Ichimura's predicament. Who the hell is he? The brat's bodyguard? He points his gun to his knees, declaring that this is what he gets for getting in his way. You want me to grind your balls into 1,000 pieces? Looks like he owes him another one. Although he looks like that. Torajiru is actually a pretty good-natured guy, huh? Thank you very much. Delicious, he says with a smile, his mouth stuffed with cake. He laughs, telling him that if he doesn't shut his mouth while he's eating, he'll sew his mouth shut. They continue talking, Ichimura noting how Torajiru likes movies, and he replies that he only watches anime movies and specials. Really? He also loves those type of movies. He always goes to the theaters during the holidays. Was he screwing with him? Then they should watch an anime movie that's showing next time. Oh, he heard about that. He wants to go with him, but that requires a very high friendship level. Torajiru tells him to stop yapping. They're bros. They're tight as heck. Torajiru. Tomito. Aren't these two getting along a bit too well? A panicking Hinako begins to tremble. Kirya-kun? Did you see? See what? Principal Coco greets him a fine morning, leading him to greet her a good morning as well. Ichimura freezes in place, remembering the file she wrote regarding him. The principal begins to lecture him, telling him that the most important thing is to get along with his classmates. Friends are indispensable. He nods, agreeing. Suddenly, the hurried footsteps of the principal's secretary rushes through the halls, leading the principal to scold her. Struggling to catch her breath, she reports that they received contact from the New York police. With a serious expression, the principal leads her to somewhere more private. Is it about that girl? Yes. Ukan-Mori has occupied the Statue of Liberty. As soon as she moves, the American military will commence an all-out attack. So it finally reached this point, she remarks regrettably. A familiar face steps through the door, waving at him. He's Kirya Reiji. Though Ichimura has transferred to the school for over 2 weeks now, the two of them haven't talked much. He wonders, what kind of crime did he commit? Suddenly, Kirya asks him what he thought about Komori, reassuring him that it isn't anything serious. Ichimura is confused by such a surprising question. In the end, he answers that he just really wants to get along with her. Though it's hard for him to say this. Doesn't he think that Komori has been avoiding him? Ichimura rattles in disbelief, stuttering. Reiji calls out to her, suddenly. With a formal stride, he greets the both of them a good morning. She's totally avoiding me, he thinks to himself. Maybe he said something that made her angry, Reiji suggests. With rushing steps, he declares that he'll go apologize. But he's stopped by Reiji, telling him that if he's gonna apologize, he needs a good way to do so first. Will he entrust this to him? He may not look like it, but he's very good at improving relationships. He'll mend the gap and pull the two of them closer for sure. Then what should he do? Well, he should definitely apologize. He must convey that he really means it. Face her directly in this position. Like this? An unsure Ichimura asks. Perfect. This is their unique local tradition. It'll definitely reach Komori. Komori wanders through the halls, Reiji's strange reaction earlier in the morning in her mind. Suddenly, Ichimura calls out to her. I am really sorry. His face, his shoulders, everything is so close. She wants to become a sloth, wrapping her arms around his and make it her home. Clinging to an inch of reason, Hinako begins to run away before the point of no return, as Ichimura calls out to her and Reiji forces himself to hide his laughter. Beaming with pride, he declares that he's sure that she received most of his apology. Really? But she ran away. Next, he must get rid of his old image and show Komori the image of the new him. What should he do exactly? Simple. Just change your image. And so, his image change begins immediately. Forced to undress in the classroom as he undergoes his metamorphosis, Reiji reassuring him, swatting any doubt that crosses his mind. An overwhelmed Komori is confused. What was with that, sorry? It was too exciting. An oddly dressed Ichimura calls out to her, asking if they're changing classrooms. Is Ichimura-kun broken? She wants to use it for bathing. Komori, stuck in her little fantasy, freezes in place, the plan seeming to have worked. She didn't run away this time. All right, next step. Hug her. He refuses frantically, but he reassures him Komori will appreciate his efforts. But it's so embarrassing, he says, red and panicking. He encourages him. He must do his best. Doesn't he want to get along better with Komori? He calls out her name, snapping her out from her daydream. Ichimura-kun? The sweat on his skin is being absorbed into her uniform. What should she do? Squeeze it all out to make salt? No, she was being an idiot. She has to use this for aromatherapy. Overwhelmed by his hug, her daydreams, and her fantasies, she collapses with a smile on her face. Her heavy eyes open wide as she spots a concerned Ichimura by her bed. He apologizes, realizing that he probably made things worse. He dismisses his apologies, explaining that she was just hit by a strong case of anemia. But seriously, why was he doing all those things? He tells her that he did all those things because it looked like she hated him. Hated him? That's impossible. Honestly, the things Reiji made him do. What? He's gone? Komori explains that Reiji loves to tease others with lies. He was just lying to him. From the wall slam to telling him that she hates him, all lies. But he's glad. Komori doesn't hate him after all. I see. So Ichimura-kun would be troubled if I hated him. Komori hides her red-faced from under the sheets, grateful for the precious moment Reiji's lies had created. Thank you for your patronage. I want a girlfriend, Yasuo continues, confessing his desires to the world. He wants to ride a bike together, go on a date, kiss a bit, do a little of this, then a little of that. A concerned Ichimura asks Torajiru what's going on with Yasuo, and he tells him that he's acting like that because he saw a couple being lovey-dovey on their way to school earlier. He falls to his knees, fearing that he may become an old middle-aged man that looks at high school couples with jealousy and remorse. Standing tall, he declares that he made a decision. He's gonna get a girlfriend. Ichimura begins to wonder if there's a girl Yasuo had in mind. He tells him that he likes everyone, which is a problem. He's been hitting on everyone, that's why he doesn't have a girlfriend yet. He needs to focus his love on one person. That's it. He'll confess to one girl. Wait, Who? Bowing down, he extends an arm and confesses to a very dangerous girl. Ichimura is in disbelief. Why would he confess to someone that hates him? Momoka takes a step back, scolding him for making such jokes. This isn't a joke. He's dead serious. He likes Momoka from the bottom of his heart. Her butt, her thighs, her waist, and without a doubt her boobs, comparable to a pair of fruits about to burst out of their casing from how ripe they are. He begs, pleading with her that when they get together, he'll fondle those babies to his heart's content. That was no good. Even though he poured all he had to that confession, Ichimura points out that he went a bit overboard with his true feelings. Can't be helped. On to the next girl. Next girl? But didn't he say he was only going to focus on one? Well, he was rejected, so it's all good. Peeking from the corner, the pair finds their target. Just like earlier, he confesses with his face to the floor and his arm extended. Ichimura can't help but dread. He's treading on a dangerous path. Sarah, her pale skin as white as snow, her cold eyes that stares daggers into his soul, her perfect proportions befitting of a model. Please, when summer comes, put on a sexy swimsuit for him. Fearing for his friend, Ichimura rushes to save him. Whispering, Sarah asks if he has time tomorrow after school. There's a dance for a new song she really wants to show him. He agrees as Sarah goes on with her day, grateful for his help again. Ah, he failed again. He even put more effort into that proposal than the previous one with Momoka. Yasuo's face explodes, pummeled by hundreds of invisible fists. A time-lagged attack. Next up are the Hiura sisters. It didn't work. He explains that he first confessed to Aki, complimenting her large hidden breasts, but she rejected him and told him to shut up. He then confessed to Minori, complimenting her slender legs, but she got angry, asking him why he asked her sister first, and in turn he explained that if he were to choose between boobs and legs, he'd pick boobs. And this happened. Of course that'd happen. Out of options, he announces his last target, Komori-chan. However, if he keeps doing the same thing, he'll get rejected again for sure. He has to change tactics. But how? With her hand clasped to her heart, she asks, "What does Ichimura-kun want to ask me?" Remember the plan. He's going to ask her what her favorite type of guys are, and with that intel, his new plan will be a guaranteed success. Meekly, Ichimura begins to ask, what type of man does she like? Her type? Why is he asking that? Could it be? Could he feel the same way? No way. How could he possibly fall in love with a shorty like her? But what could be the reason? And if you're comfortable, he adds, perhaps you can explain in detail. In detail? Pointy and goofy hair with a pair of soft round eyes, height at 168 centimeters, estimated, shoe size of 25 centimeters, confirmed, wakes up every day at 7 in the morning and leaves home 45 minutes after. Favorite class is economy and struggling in the elective art class. Usually eats fried chicken or chicken cutlet sandwich for lunch, basically loves chicken. Going to the cinema alone in the morning until the late shows during his days off. With a personality appearing to be diligent and serious while being a little bit indecisive, so he'll get dragged around by others, but also very independent and strong. Overall, very gentle and cool. The most delicious part would be his hair. She dashes off at record speed, begging him to please forget everything she just said. Ichimura stands alone, wondering, does delicious part mean appearance-wise? And those descriptions, he also loves chicken and watching movies, but that couldn't be him, right? He's not cool, so that's a dead giveaway. Delicious hair? It all makes sense now. He rushes out the door, declaring that Komori will be his girlfriend for sure. A shivering Komori scolds herself, wondering whatever should she do after that humiliating display. Suddenly, someone calls her name. With his hair slathered with honey, he confesses, presenting a ribbon-tied chicken leg while he's at it. Thus, Yasu-kun never spoke about getting a girlfriend ever again. Yasu-kun wanted a girlfriend, And Komori-san even has her favorite type of guy. Everyone is thinking about love. I wonder if someday I will also fall in love with someone.
あら。
Oh? Could the new school term have already started? Ichimura's attention fixates on the empty chair, wondering out loud which person the seat belonged to. Yasuo answers that it's Harukana-chan's seat. Yup, doesn't he see her on the news? Why? Is she famous? Are you for real? Yasuo asks, yelling. You've never heard of Phantom Thief Harukana? He replies that he hasn't been watching TV recently. Is she that famous? She's not on the scale of just being famous anymore, Yasuo answers in a loud, fanatic tone. Phantom Thief Harukana. It's a name that'll go down in history. She's a wanted fugitive that has been stealing from every part of the globe. No country's military and police force have been able to catch her so far. Right now, her bounty is 5 billion, signed for by the International Criminal Police Organization themselves. Really? There was such a big-shot criminal in our class? Ichimura gasps in amazement. She's definitely not a suspect anymore. Well, the principal did say this was a class of criminals and suspects. But even in such a class, Harukana-chan is by far the worst problem child. It's almost time for my return. A news helicopter flies a cautious distance away to report on the scene. We're currently above Liberty Island in New York. As you can see, Phantom Thief Harukana is currently occupying the Statue of Liberty. Even though she's completely surrounded by the American military, she appears to be completely unfazed.
Ohayo!
Ah, she's even nonchalantly waving at us. Surrender at once, the military helicopter warns, guns drawn and ready. You're completely surrounded. She throws the colorful balls to her feet, a thick smoke obfuscating her form in an instant. They couldn't believe it. She disappeared? The curious pilot asks his partner what the note said, and he responds by simply giving him the note, telling him to see for himself. A letter of notice? A cryptic clue? A simple taunt? He did not know what to make of it. He picks up the radio, telling all the surrounding helicopters to search for her. She should still be within the zone of action. From behind him, his partner begins to ask, "Zone? How far is the zone?" He responds that the zone is within the island. She couldn't have left. Sure, she's still in the zone. Maybe she's even closer. Perhaps right behind him. He turns his attention behind him in disbelief. Don't tell me. You're correct. It's me. Just kidding. Frantically, the pilot grabs the microphone, alerting his fellow soldiers that the target has boarded the aircraft. He will be bringing the target back to base. An annoyed Harukana protests. She doesn't want to go to their base. Take her to the airport. Pretty, please. The pilot barks at her authoritatively. She will follow his orders from now on. Was he sure about that? Doesn't he know what she's capable of? Her bag of tricks has a lot of dangerous stuff. He points his gun behind him, ready to show his authority. Only for his pistol to be snatched away. The curious girl examining it fondly, saying that the pistol is just like the one Tsuki has. To paint a clearer picture, she changes her form to this Tsuki person, explaining that she's one of her classmates. But she's also a hitman that's after her life. She then changes her form to a different girl, Momo-chan with the busty chest, one of her other classmates. Oh, how she missed her class. It's filled with very colorful people like Tora-san with the scary face. It's a super fun class. She wonders, do they still remember her? Lost in her worries, she lets out a panicked cry, pleading to the soldier to go to the airport. The airport? He tells her to shut up. Once they land, she'll be in cuffs. Oh, that's Bariba. Bariba? Well, here is fine, I guess. The soldier begins to report in a panic. The target has disappeared without a trace from within the aircraft. Awaiting instructions, over. The speakers buzzes, a voice instructing him to land at point 6 and inspect the aircraft. To his stunned disbelief, the helicopter begins to rise. Echo 1. This is Echo 3. Unable to locate target. Recommencing search. Out. That voice. It was his voice. Was she also the voice that told him to land in this place? Where was she hiding? She waves at him goodbye, announcing that she's going back to Japan. Thank you for the helicopter. Phantom thief. Haruka has escaped on a hijacked military helicopter. Her current whereabouts are unknown. Well, that's how she is, Yasuo comments in a casual tone, adding that she'll probably be here today or tomorrow. You better have made your resolve. Resolve? Ichimura repeats confused. Hey everyone, Yasuo calls out with a smile. Harukana-chan is coming back. Turning his attention back to his Yasuo PC, he remarks that the class will probably become a battlefield soon. Inside the principal's office, her secretary begins to report. Ukanmori is currently at the airport, disguised as a passenger on her way to Japan. Well, perhaps she's already here, all things considered. The worst turn of event has finally occurred, huh? The ever-so-slippery Ukanmori is so unpredictable, she advises that they need her under captivity at once. But putting that aside, there's something else that's bothering her. The same blood flows within Ichimura and Ukanmori. If those two were to meet, there's a high chance the demon within Ichimura-kun will be awakened. Ichimura walks to school, his mind preoccupied thinking about the notorious woman. Yasuo's warning from the previous day echoes in his mind. Resolve, huh? Does that mean she's going to steal from him? Maybe carrying a bunch of fake wallets will do the trick.